Well, the likely next Prime Minister of the UK, Andy Burnham, has said he would expand the Prime Minister's office to Manchester in the north of England and create a number 10 North if he becomes the next Labour leader. The departing Greater Manchester mayor said he would hand power from Westminster to the UK's cities and regions and make central government, quote, more streamlined.
The change will be driven through the Prime Minister's office in an extended operation based here in Manchester. It will be about offering new opportunities to extend devolution in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland by taking power deeper down. Number 10 North will be the nerve centre of a rewired Britain.
Would it kill him to put on a tie? Anyway, joining me now for more on this is barrister and UK broadcaster Andrew Eborn. Andrew, welcome to the program. And this Andy Burnham guy, I mean, is he for real? This whole idea of moving power to the north, it seems like an awful lot of hot air. It seems like a lot of kind of pretense, but I don't think that anything would actually change in terms of fixing all the many great problems that unfortunately right now seem to afflict your country.
It was certainly a tsunami of sound bites, wasn't it? I've met Andy. He's a very personable guy and certainly a bit more personable and relatable than Sir Keir Starmer, the robotic Sir Keir Starmer. But basically, he's launched his formal campaign to become the next Labour leader following Sir Keir Starmer's final U-turn where he said he was going to fight any contest. He decided he was just going to step down and pave the way for what I think will be a coronation of Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham's central message was Westminster is broken, and that's going to relate to basically a lot of people here in the UK. I always say trust comes in on foot and leaves on horseback, and trust in politicians, trust in what's happened in Westminster is certainly at an all-time low. So the message will certainly be one that will be supported on all sides. And as you say, the flagship proposal is to have what's a permanent number 10 North, what he calls the nerve centre of a rewired Britain. And all of that's obviously going to hit the headlines. You can get those sound bites, beautifully written script. The devil, of course, is in the detail. Let's see what that means. But he's going to be transferring significant powers over transport, housing, skills and economic development, basically to England's cities and regions. And he argues that growth cannot be ordered from the top down. It can only be nurtured from the bottom up. And what he's also promising is that sort of equivalent living conditions in all parts of Britain. What he says, imagine growth in every postcode and hope in every heart. Very Lennon, I would say, or maybe Lenin, depends on how you look at it. And what's interesting, James, I was looking at the Office of National Statistics, basically for life expectancy rates, and there's a huge difference between the north and the south of England and the north of places like Scotland and so on and so forth. And just to give you some statistics, in England, the lowest life expectancy birth across all sorts of local areas is actually in Blackpool. A great place, but the lowest life expectancy there is 73.7 years for men and 79.1 for women. You compare that to down south and in Hart in Hampshire, it's 83.7 years for men, and in Kensington and Chelsea, not too far from me at Regent's Park, is 87.1 years. So there's a massive difference in that life expectancy.
Sure.
He's going to try and equalise that and basically make it more equitable for everybody.
Yeah, but how is he going to do that? I mean, I didn't see anything in all of that about, what his policies around the hot button issues of like immigration or Brexit or welfare spending or grooming gangs or anything else was going to be. It just sounds like this is going to be him throwing a lot of money around to his Labour Council mates up in the north.
Well, he did say he's going to make sure it's fully costed. As I say, it's a tsunami of sound bites. The detail, however, has not yet been disclosed. We need to look at that sort of side. And also, it's not, I know you were discussing beforehand, is he really Prime Minister designate? The reality is he probably will be, as I predicted, as a result of Wes Streeting stepping aside and throwing his support behind Andy Burnham as soon as basically announced he was going to stand. He's now been nicknamed by me as Coronation Streeting. meeting as a sort of tip to our soap opera over here. I do think it'll be a coronation. I do think it's a good opportunity. But just in terms of timing, the official thing is the 9th of July, the the Labour leadership nominations are open. They close on the 16th of July. If he's the only nominee, then we're going to have him in power straight from Manchester Mayor to Prime Minister on the 17th of July. That's the earliest. If there is a contest, James, what happens? It basically goes on until the 1st of September. So we're going to have this sort of hiatus, if you like, while everybody's waiting for something to happen. But he's basically getting out there. He's trying to get to know the different people. He was sort of a wonderful reception he had down here. People love him. It is that great hope. And interesting about Hope, when you heard his speech when the by-election results were declared, next to him was this wonderful chap in a white Stetson and white suit who is from the Monster Raving Loony Party. And his name is Alan Lord Screaming Hope, basically, or give us hope. But every time Andy Burnham said hope, he would sort of puff up and say, yes, that's me, which I love. But I also love, and a good shout out to the Monster Raving Loony Party, when the King's honours were made for the King's birthday, they also bestowed their own titles. They made me Lord Eborn, Count Eborn, and lots of other alliterative things like the King of Conversation and the Prince of Peace and so on and so forth. So a big shout out for them for putting satire into politics. Because I always say, James, the winner always in elections is apathy. We need to get people to care about the issues and to actually vote. And I do think what's happened for Andy Burnham, it was a vote for him personally rather than the Labour Party. And the last election over here was really a negative vote. People were so fed up with the Conservatives, they just wanted a change. It didn't matter who it was, really. And if you look at the results of that election, Labour actually got fewer votes than they did in the previous 2 elections.
Well, I mean, at the risk of being cynical, though, how long
Be cynical.
Oh, come on. Allow me to be a little cynical here. How long does he realistically have before the milk curdles on this one? I mean, if he doesn't affect real change within, 90 days, 6 months maybe at the max, we're all going to be in the same place, aren't we?
Well, you're absolutely right, and that's what people are going to do. Well, politics itself throughout the world is based on disappointment and then hope again, isn't it? You look at everybody who comes in, they say, oh, this person's going to change everything. Well, the change that people really want is the change in their pocket. So we need to see that. But Keir Starmer's going to go down in history as the shortest term for any Labour Prime Minister. What humiliation for him. But Andy Burnham, as I say, we've got an election in not so far away, could also have a short term. If he's clever, at the moment, the right is fragmented over here. There are so many parties. You've got the Conservatives, you've got the turquoise tidal wave, as I call it, of reform. You've got Restore Britain. You used to have Advance UK, but that's now retreated because Ben Habib has rolled over and said, well, it's not worth competing, really. But people are going to be fragmented. And you've got 3-4 different parties on the right, so-called right. People are basically going to decide between them. As a result of which, the biggest beneficiary is undoubtedly the Labour Party.
Is there a chance, though, very quickly, that Restore, and I know that there's talk of them fracturing the vote on the right, but by creating that flank on the far right there, makes Reform actually look, in relative terms, a bit more centrist?
Well, people have argued that, and I know all the characters involved. I've spoken to Nigel many times, and also Rupert Lowe, who is Restore. His result was phenomenal in the local council elections. He got 10 out of 10 seats in Great Yarmouth. He got about 7% in the recent election. But the reality is this: you're going to fragment the right anyway. So it looks as though Reform are decreasing their vote as a result of it, and people are going to decide, well, okay, do I prefer these policies to the other? When I was talking to Ben Habib about Advance UK and Restore and basically that sort of side, he said, look, there's a cigarette paper between their policies, so it wasn't worth doing both.
Fair enough. Andrew, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate the chat and speak to you again soon.